Broadcasting from the heart of the Colorado Rockies, it's 4th and 99 with your hosts, David Slade, Keith Brookman, and Matt Staffiero. Now let's talk football here on 4th and 99.
Hey, good evening, sports fans. Welcome back to another amazing show, and thanks for tuning in to 4th and 99, your Denver Broncos and NFL podcast show here on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. So I'm your host, David Slade, and with me, as always, is Matt Staffiero and Keith Brugman. Gentlemen, how are you doing on this Wednesday evening?
Fantastic.
Trying to stay warm. It's a little cold up north up here, man. I tell you, I don't know how you guys' weather have been, but it's been a little bitter.
60 degrees today, man.
Geez,
Oh, it was beautiful.
Wow.
Dude, it was nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm missing the snow, believe it or not. I'm starting to really miss the snow.
Oh, I'm not. The snow can stay in the mountains as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I'm just worried that if we don't get a good, starting to get some good, precipitation, what's that going to look like for summer while, with all the wildfires we get here. And then I'm not going to be able to go camping. And that's going to really bum me out. So hopefully we get some precipitation here soon because I don't need another dry summer. And for Jerry Murr's hope, let's hope we get some precipitation soon.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to need some. But as far as I'm concerned, keep all that snow up in the mountains, Let it snow in the feets up there, we got
a few, probably about 6 inches in our last storm. I'll keep the snow if you guys just take the cold, all right? We're looking at like single digits and below 0 next week. So, you guys can take that instead.
Yeah, real quick before we dive too far into it, Dave, I just want to give a shout out to K&K really quick. I was not able to be a part of the Mr. Sis birthday celebration, so I want to offer him a big happy birthday. They always treat us right. It's only right we do right by them. So happy birthday, Sis. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah, and you guys missed the 12 Broncos of Christmas.
We're going to have to go back and look at
Kenny, I think we should invite him on for our pregame show and let him do it.
Oh, so deal. Kenny, if you're watching,
maybe he can do that. Kenny, come join us Sunday morning. Give us it. But I'm going to tell you, day 2, you guys will probably fall off your chair when you hear what he says. I'm not going to ruin the surprise for you.
Oh, fantastic.
And don't go watch their show and figure it out. You just wait till Sunday and let Kenny surprise you with it. So,
all right.
We knew this was coming. Locke's about to bring up his trade value.
For once, this is something that I can get on track, and me and Victor are on the same page. Hell might have just froze over. Me and Victor, the lock flogger and the lock lover, have come together as one. This is the best. This is the most accurate thing you may have ever said, Victor. So
yeah,
congrats. I appreciate that.
That's maybe what he does is bring up trade value. So I think we've all said it's a little too late, to save your hide here in Denver, unless the minds down there are just thinking totally different than we are, but they haven't given any indication. So, hey, before we go too far, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends. Thanks for sponsoring today's show. Check out their product lineup at willowseasonings.com. Right now, there is a huge end of the year clearance sale, 40% off. So if you're looking to get some seasonings, if you've been saying, I want to try them, but I don't know if I want to spend that much right now, 40% off. So head over and get yourself some seasonings over there. So, all right.
Holy cow, 40% off, buddy?
40% off.
That's not like no 10% off discount,
No.
That's big time.
We got to move product, man. We got to reduce our inventory before the tax season hits.
There you go.
So, all right, gentlemen, COVID is still out there.
It's getting insane.
It is getting insane. We've seen the NHL as they've paused until after the holiday break.
Yep.
The NHL has said our players are not playing in the Winter Olympics. So,
I mean, it's gotten so bad that Texas A&M had to pull out of their bowl game. I don't know if you guys saw that news today. A&M is out of it. Alabama and Georgia are also experiencing COVID outbreaks. The NCAA also said today that if they can't get healthy, they will lose the game by forfeit, meaning we'll get a Cincinnati and Michigan college football championship game.
Oh,
Wow.
gee whiz.
So
I'll boycott that game.
Your G5 team might just pull a miracle here by default.
Yeah, with about 3,000 asterisks next to it.
Right?
So,
but on top of that, we see.
Sorry, Scott.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, Scott, and they'll have plenty of COVID talk in hockey right after us.
I like that, Scott. Tune in. Don't steal my hockey thunder, Dave.
Sorry.
Yeah,
we'll be talking plenty of COVID hockey night after you guys.
Yeah.
So tune into their show, I guess, huh?
Yeah, definitely tune in to those guys and check them out.
In the creases. Yeah, they moved their show up today because they typically go live on Saturdays. Saturday's Christmas. So, of course, we wanted to be flexible with everyone and to spend time with family and whatnot. So they will be airing tonight, I believe, at 7:15. So a little bit after us.
Yeah. Right on. And we got other teams that are dealing with COVID. We did not have a chance to update our COVID map, but
I got the list right here.
Matt has it.
I got a pretty solid list. So Cleveland is still they got 20 players and coaches that are on the list. That's a big one. Chicago's at 15. Houston Texans are at 14. Los Angeles Rams at 17. It's just getting crazy. Philadelphia is starting to have an outbreak.
And where are the Chiefs at?
The Jets, 18. I'm getting to them. They're somewhere on here. Probably help if I realized it was an alphabetical order. I skipped right over them. All right. Kansas City. Holy cow. It looks like they're at 12 according to this list.
And they're saying there's going to be more to come. So
yeah,
they're saying that Kansas City could be the game that gets rescheduled to Tuesday.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to bring up really quick. We seen the NFL, they were so adamant that this was not going to happen. They weren't going to move games around. And the outbreak has gotten so bad that it wasn't just it's not affecting just one team like where that rule would apply. So they've bent the rules. They're moving games left and right. Washington football team still high. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know how they're going to get a hang of it. I don't know if they're going to be able to without pausing. But at this point of the season, are they really going to pause?
I don't think you have the opportunity to pause. I guess you have some weeks you can eat up in between the Super Bowl, not give those teams preparation and all the media hoopla that goes on for those weeks. But, there's a lot of weeks that sit in between now and then for you to be pausing and waiting for things to get better. You got 3 games left. How many weeks can you pause? How many if you have 3 games to go?
Right. And I think the NFL is just going to have to do what they're doing and try to juggle schedules. I mean, because you got to make it fair. You got teams in playoff races and everything else, I mean, you have to give these teams an opportunity to play, or you do like Matt says, you just pause it. You say, hey, guys, we're stopping for 2 weeks. We'll resume the regular season in 2 weeks. And we just lost our 2 weeks between the Super Bowl. So once the conference championship's over, we're going to roll right into the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Speaking of playoffs, this is where my mind's at. We've seen what's happening with the bowl games now. Is the NFL going to take a similar approach to that? I mean, we didn't have that information yesterday, kind of when we were prepping out this agenda. That we talked about how will it affect the playoffs. Let's say it's the Baltimore Ravens and the New England Patriots. New England Patriots are completely healthy. Baltimore Ravens have 19 players on the COVID list. Are we going to see the same things happen there? Or are they going to kind of move the game around? And is that going to be a fair advantage with so much being on the line? Like if New England has to play a Wednesday game, turn around and play on a Sunday, or or do you think how do you think they would maneuver it? Or do you think
I think it's harder once you get into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Go ahead, Keith.
No, I agree. Go right ahead, man. I was just I think we're all on board. I think it's crazy to try to think about how you try to juggle that. I don't know how you can't really pause. You can't push. It's such an unfair advantage to that other team, even if the winning team. You know what I mean? Even it doesn't matter. The winning team out of it comes out of it and they win on a Wednesday and they have to turn around and play on a Sunday. I just don't. It's unfathomable. Hopefully, they start going into more lockdown type of procedures to where we can keep these outbreaks to a minimum, especially with 3 weeks to go before the playoffs.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how the league handles this moving forward. And like I said, once we get into playoffs, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to start juggling games around. So,
not to make light of all this, but did you guys see Joe Burrow's statement about COVID?
I did not.
He said that he believes that the Cincinnati Bengals have very few cases because, well, we're in Cincinnati and there's no nightlife. Paraphrasing, but
oh man,
that's why we like Joe Burrow right there. That sense of humor.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, I mean, it's a crazy world we live in, and it's just gonna be interesting to see how we really push forward with this. I'm a little bit nervous, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to those teams that have the toughest protocols. Keep people in lockdown and keep people away from situations and preach the safety. It just for the good of the team and the playoffs and the run. I know that we're all excited, about a slim possibility of the Broncos maybe still making it in. Well, I can tell you what, this topic that we're speaking of right here can throw a mix into everything.
Right. And this
Really
Omicron, I mean, it's supposed to spread a lot faster. So if this thing gets going, I mean, it can just spread like wildfire. So
yeah, it's going to be crazy.
I don't think the effects of it are, as drastic as the other, but I mean, people are still, feeling ill. And I mean, if you have underlying health conditions, it's going to affect you more anyway. So
correct.
It is crazy. So, all right, updated playoff picture. So the Broncos went in. We're sitting at so pretty. We were sitting so good going into the game against Cincinnati. We had the ability to jump up, as high as 5, and now we're sitting 13. Is that correct, Matt?
Yes,
correct.
We are the only team that's the only teams that that have been formally eliminated here are the Jaguars and Texans and the Jets from AFC. Broncos are sitting right there as the bottom, the very, very bottom.
So we're the bottom of the teams who have not been mathematically eliminated.
If Denver loses, they are eliminated.
Okay. So we pretty much have to go 3-0 is what you're saying, Matt.
It's going to be on a week-by-week basis on how it measures out. So, for example, Broncos and Raiders play, so we beat the Raiders. Of course, we're going to move up. The Ravens face the Bengals. If the Ravens lose to the Bengals, they're going to slide down. Colts have to play the Cardinals. They lose, they're going to slide down. The Bills can slide out because they're facing the Patriots. The Steelers, if they lose to Kansas City, they can slide down. So there's a lot of games that still favor Denver because they're going to be tough matchups for the weaker links teams. Because a lot of those teams I was just referencing, they're division leaders right now. So
right, but like Cincinnati, if Cincinnati loses to the Ravens go back up to the and they're ahead of Denver because they beat Denver head-to-head and they won that tiebreaker. So it's going to be a hard road for Denver.
It's almost impossible. It really is.
It's like traveling one of those mountain passes in Montana in the middle of January when the snowplows are broke down, right, Keith?
You got it, buddy. It's a tough sled. Sledding up that hill.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys a question. Just a quick yes or no, or give me a percentage. Where are you at percentage-wise as far as hope for the Broncos? Keith, what percentage do you give them to get into the playoffs?
10% chance. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Matt?
I call that very optimistic. I'm going to go with about 2.5.
Yeah. And then I think right now the odds makers have us at about 4 or 5%. So it's going to be rough. So, hey, crazier things have happened.
Yes.
Everybody wished for Christmas that the Broncos, make the playoffs.
You can make the playoffs.
Maybe Santa Claus will bring that to us.
Let's hope so, right?
Really good. And Victor says
8.3%. Oops. So, there you go.
And I think every game that Teddy Bridgewater plays in these next 3 weeks, the odds go lower.
I think it doesn't even matter who you show out of quarterback. It's just going to get lower.
All right. We're getting to the point where teams can now start interviewing for coaches. I mean,
yes.
Do you like this rule, Matt?
I love this rule.
So So if you're Vic Fangio and you're sitting in your office, and you're just working and you're getting the game plan ready, and George walks by and says, "Hey, this is so-and-so. He's here to interview for your job. How you feeling?"
Well, it's not going to go down like that.
I know it's not, but it could.
I mean,
teams that have
hey,
coaches.
this isn't Jacksonville. This is not
I was gonna say,
Jacksonville.
so you're Daniel Snyder. No.
Yeah, this ain't Washington. This ain't Jacksonville. The reason why I like the rule, though, is because, I mean, look at stuff that's happened to teams like Las Vegas and Jacksonville, two perfect examples. This gives them kind of a leg up. This gives them a 2 weeks to, they've done their research. This gives them that additional 2 weeks to really pick and prod who they want to do. Where I don't like this rule is it for teams like Denver, where we don't really know what's going on. Like, is Vic Fangio going to be coming back? Is it really playoff contingent? If he loses this week, are we going to find out? There's so many unknowns. And with this leg up and you being undecided, that means Brian Dabble or whoever the top candidate of that year is, it has 3 opportunities before you're ready. That's where it becomes a little bit difficult. So it's going to force the hand to either make some pretty rash decisions quickly or you're going to miss out.
So, Keith, if you're the general manager, let's say you're George Payton today, you put on your George Payton hat, and the Broncos lose to the Raiders. We're pretty much eliminated from the playoffs. Do you just go ahead and let Fangio go so you can get started along with other teams that are going to be getting into the coaching search? You can still do it with the coaching, but you have to get their permission first. So he would have to go to Vic Fangio and say, "Hey, Vic, I'm going to fire you at the end of the year. Do you care if I start interviewing people?" That would be an awkward conversation.
You have to let the coach know.
That is what I heard the other day, is if the team still has a coach hired, that they have to have their permission to.
I think they have to just inform them that they're intending to let go.
I thought they said permission.
But then at that point, why even ask permission? Just fire them.
Well, right. That's why I'm.
Yeah, that's why I say.
That's why I'm asking Keith the question. Do you just go ahead and fire Vic Fangio if we lose to the Raiders, so we can throw our hat in there? Because you got Jacksonville in there. They're going to be hurt. They're going to be looking. You got the Raiders in there. They're going to be looking. So you want to get your guy. You want to get in your hat in the ring. So do you make that move?
I take the fine and I start contacting him without that conversation. Honestly, if you lose to the Raiders, I think you kind of have to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think George Payton does it? I don't think he does. I just don't. I think this whole season he's given him enough rope to hang himself, and that's what he's been doing the entire time. He's giving him the rope, and he's giving it to him till the end. I mean, the changes that we haven't seen happen throughout this season that we all would have expected. I don't care if it's a quarterback change, special teams coach change. Who's calling the offense change, where he's at it, maybe on the field versus in the booth. Nothing has changed. So I don't think there's going to be any large changes. Maybe 2 losses. I don't know. But I don't think it's just 1 loss and then we let him go.
No, and real quick before I dive into that, kind of that perspective real quick, I think it is they have to notify the coach, and the coach has a chance to either walk away or continue, kind of like the.
And maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was during a game that I heard it, and the announcer maybe just didn't explain it properly.
Who knows? I mean, if it was Charles Davis, I'm sure it did not go.
No, it wasn't. It was. I believe it was during the Bears-Vikings game because they were talking about Nagy.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to look into a little bit more. But
right.
But back to the Vic Fangio factor thing here. I'm starting to really believe that Vic Fangio is not going anywhere. Even if we don't make the playoffs, even if we go 7-10, I have a feeling he's not going anywhere. It's just starting to feel that way. I mean, you start to kind of hear the gesture everywhere outside of Denver media. It's not as pertinent as he was. He's not one that you're hearing thrown on. You hop on the NFL Network or you hop on those other places. You're not hearing Vic Fangio's name get tossed into the hot seat anymore. It's David Coley. It was Urban Meyer. It's Matt Nagy. It's everybody but Vic Fangio. So, I mean, if they must be getting some kind of information to really feel that his seat is cooled for them not to be mentioned.
Well, and I think it did cool a little bit because Denver was in the playoff hunt, But
yeah, I mean, I'm talking as soon as yesterday.
If we lose to the Raiders, well, because we're still
technically in the hunt.
Mm-hmm. But if we lose Sunday, we're pretty much dead, you know. Mm-hmm. So if I'm George Payton at that point, I pull the plug. I say, you know what, I got to start working to get the guy I want, and I don't want Jacksonville to get him, and I sure as heck don't want the Raiders to get who I want. Mm-hmm. So I get rid of Vic and say, sorry, man, I got to move on so I can start getting my guy, the next guy in place.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. And the question I'll pose to you here is, we still have, you know, there's the impending ownership, the sale of the team. There's Joe Ellis and John. Well, I think Elway's tenure ends in January or February, and
his is
Ellis
January. Ellis is March.
The end of March. I think first day of April is when he'd technically be free. You still are paying some of the staff that was on the VJ train. You fire this entire coaching staff with most of them having a year left. You bring on another coaching staff having to pay their full staff. We highlighted in the group, there's a ton of empty seats. We're losing a ton of revenue. Maybe is this going to be a business decision to possibly keep him here? It's not what his fans want to hear.
Yeah, it may be.
But is it going to be?
We have talked about this, you know, but Ellis and them may want to, as Matt has said, have it just this package and nice little bow on it to give to him. Say, here you go. And sorry, you're inheriting this inept coaching staff, but here you go. And that
I want to back up a little bit just on that. One other thing that we need to look at is, and I know this is another section as we get into Pat Shurmur, but Vic Fangio right now was brought in to be the defensive mind. Right now we're number 3 in the league in scoring, scoring against. Okay. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that he's doing right as well, it looks like at this point, especially as he's coming into his 3rd year. You know what I mean? Now, what's happening on the offensive side of the ball is something completely different, but what's happening on the defensive side of the ball, what he was brought in to do, is not a bad place to be. I think we need to fix the offensive side. It's not the defense.
And we can talk about this a little bit more when we go into the crowd noise segment and talk about our poll results.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but let's go ahead and let's bounce into our QB situation here. So Teddy Bridgewater's out. A fairly serious injury. I mean, carted off, you know, taken to the hospital, kept overnight. Now he's in concussion protocol. I don't know if they grade concussions or not, you know, or I don't know if it's like you have a concussion or you don't have a concussion. I don't know if the NFL uses different grades of concussions, and if he is, where's he at, you know? And then so we got Drew Lock going this week. We get our first real look at Drew. I know Drew has come into some backup situations, and I think we have all agreed Drew Lock is not a backup quarterback. It takes a different mentality to prepare to be a backup quarterback, in my opinion. So, and I think you guys agree with that. Yes? No? Keith?
Yeah. I would say so. You know, that he doesn't do well in a backup role. I'll agree with that.
Right.
Go ahead.
So he comes in, he gets a full week of practice this week, you know, and he gets to start. So what do you expect from him, Keith? Do you expect more of the same? Do you think you're going to see a better prepared Drew Lock, and maybe he doesn't make the boneheaded mistakes that he's made coming in backup situations?
You know, to be honest, and I hate to be the flogger along with Matt, but I continue to see the same things from him, you know, other than in the first series when he came out and he did lead him down the field. After that, it was all about just him. His arm strength is the only thing that got him down the field the second time. And he tends to make the same mistakes over and over again. He looks down his receivers. He took a terrible sack. I mean, the unfortunate thing is I don't think he's going to be given the chance with the offensive scheme, and B, now I think he's going to fall to the opposite side of things. If you listen to his press conference, he was all about saying that he needed to, you know, defer to the team and know when he needs to stand up and know when he needs to lead versus when he doesn't need to lead. We'll see if that's him, or we'll see if he just is out there. It goes out there and he's tentative and his timing's off and he looks like he's, struggling out there. I hope it's the first, but I expect the latter.
Right. Okay. So we're going to, before we get to you, Matt, Keith has made up a little thing. We're going to play a little game here, sort of. It's called the last 5 full games.
Let's do it.
So, all right. And you guys out there, you can play along if you want. So the quarterback on the left, 1,166 yards, 61.17 completion rates, 4 interceptions. Who is that? Is that Drew or is that Teddy?
I know which one is which one.
And I do too. So anybody out there, if you have a guess, I mean, the other is 1,040 yards, 63.4%, 2 completions.
2 interceptions.
Or 2 interceptions, I'm sorry.
2 incompletions. Right. Woo. I'm just
2
kidding.
incompletions, yeah. So,
essentially.
And here we go. I mean, Drew Lock is, on the left. So more yards, almost a comparable, but 2 more interceptions than him. And sometimes Drew's interceptions come at bad times.
Inopportune times. Yep.
Yeah. But like this year, he has how many interceptions this year?
I believe 1.
And that came,
I think, against
on a Hail Mary pass against the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
at the end of the game. I think he has 2.
Yes, he has 2. 1 against the Chargers, 1 against the Ravens.
Right. And so the one against the Ravens was a game that was already lost, and he's just throwing the ball into the end zone trying to make a play. We've seen it happen all the time in the NFL. Yeah. You can't say that was a horrible play, Drew.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't think anyone does.
I don't remember the Chargers one. So if anybody remembers that one, but I thought
it was a very brief stint. That's pretty much when he got pulled and Teddy went back in.
Right. I think that's the one where he rolled out to the right and just thought he was going to try to throw it away, but he didn't throw it away.
Yeah.
That day in practice where they worked on the incompletions.
Yeah. It was
Drew wasn't paying attention apparently.
Yeah.
So, but now here's
Matt remembers it.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna have a stroke.
So here's the shocker here. Here is the shocker right here. Drew Lock, 9 TDs against 4 TDs. And I'll tell you what, Drew Lock gives this team a better chance of scoring. I mean, look at the game last week against Cincinnati. Teddy Bridgewater had 7 drives. He did not get us into the red zone 1 time. He did not get us inside the 30-yard line 1 time. He got us a 54-yard field goal is what Teddy got us in 7 drives. Drew Lock in 3 drives inside the red zone twice, got a touchdown. Unfortunately, had the boneheaded play with the RPO, But I'm going to sort of blame Pat Shermer and say, why the heck are you even putting Drew Lock in that situation? He's not an RPO quarterback. Somebody take that page out of the playbook, tear it up, throw it away.
Did you hear Drew Lock blamed himself for this because he was supposed to hand the ball off. He decided to keep it.
Why?
He decided to keep it.
Why are you even putting an RPO in there, giving him the option?
I mean, was Drew just trying to make a play, make a statement? Was it a design RPO? We will never know. But he himself in the press conference
said, he did.
I chose to take the ball.
Right, he did.
He was just trying to make a play happen. For all we know, it could have not been an RPO. It may never been a design RPO.
It was.
Oh, come on, Matt. Don't even go down that road.
So we call 1 RPO in the last 2 seasons. It doesn't feel Pat Shermer-esque to me.
Okay,
it
Matt.
really doesn't.
All right, Matt. Magnify everything Locke does like you always do.
I just like that. I was like 2 weeks in a row. We've had tinfoil hat conspiracy theories now.
I'm just saying
2 shows in a row.
I'm just saying
we got one from Dave and one from Matt now.
The most uncharacteristic Pat Shermer play ever. When has he called an RPO ever?
Hey, and you know what I noticed on that fumble too? Did you notice who ran that guy down and knocked the ball out?
Oh, great. He chased after a guy. I'm proud
Yeah,
of him.
your buddy wouldn't have.
I don't have a buddy.
Yeah, all
What I
right.
see at the end of this PowerPoint is what I preached after the draft, and we didn't take Mac Jones, and we didn't take Justin Fields, and we didn't trade for Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
I told you it is two bottom tier quarterbacks. It's been what they've been the entire time.
So,
I've tried
all right.
to be a fan. But real
Okay.
quick, my what I expect to see from Drew Lock, I expect to see the exact same.
I didn't ask you.
Well, I'm going to give it to Dave. I expect to see the exact same thing that we have seen. We see the poor footwork. We see the throwing off the back foot. We see the inaccuracies
The only quarterback in
when
the
it
NFL
counts.
to throw off his back foot.
But consistently, he does it over and
the
over
only
and over
quarterback
and
in the
over
NFL
again.
that struggles with footwork is Drew Lock.
Not what I'm saying, but when
Yes,
he does
that's
it
what you're
over and
saying,
over
Matt.
and over again, and it costs you multiple drives. But those quarterbacks who struggle with him over and over and
3
over
drives,
again.
2 trips to the red zone.
Okay, well but did it result in a victory? That's all that matters. Did it result in a victory?
Well, Teddy's not giving you victories either.
And I never said he did.
So,
I
all
never
right.
said he
Okay,
did.
so you expect more of the same. So you're going to expect three turnovers from Drew Lock against the Raiders, and we're going to get pounded.
No, I expect to see him have a pretty decent game, but I expect a boneheaded play is going to probably come late, whether it's a miscommunication and an overthrow like he missed on with Tim Patrick or Cortland Sutton for the additional touchdown we could have had last week.
So at what point,
or the
Matt,
drive
do
extender?
Drew Lock getting pulled and Brett Rippon coming in?
Oh, he won't get pulled. He won't get pulled. He won't.
Well, I saw this on as one of your questions, so I was just wondering. So
if he goes in there and he throws 3 picks before halftime, then maybe we talk about it. But I think it's a pretty drastic
Keith, what
move.
do you think? Do you think Locke could play bad enough where Rippon would be put in?
Probably. And the game situation, I don't know if it's a halftime thing, but if you're blowing out and you've already thrown up 4 interceptions and you just had a terrible game, you've looked like garbage out there, why wouldn't you in the last half of the fourth quarter put in Brett Rippon? I mean, what do you what's the you're just going to kill the guy, you know what I mean? You're just you're destroying his confidence at some point. We always talk about how we develop quarterbacks. Well, if you just go out there and let a guy hang himself and put up 7 interceptions, you know what I mean? That's not going to help a guy's confidence either.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to bring this one up. Of course, quarterbacks do it, guys. I'm not saying they don't do it. But what I'm saying is when we see it happen consistently, and it's not on, you see these guys trying to make a play and they lean on this black foot trying to make a play.
I'm going to leave this up the rest of the show.
But what we'll see is Drew Lock decide not to plant his feet, not to step into his throw, and rely solely on that arm strength over and over again. PFF did the entire thing last year. Sports Science did it, of where the ball placement should be and where it was because of where he was releasing at. Had it been a follow through, it would have been on point. It's just a small thing.
Can I ask you a question, Matt? When's the last time you saw Cortland Sutton lay out for a Teddy Bridgewater pass?
I'm not saying that he's not a momentum bringer. I said it after the game.
I asked you a question. When is the last time you seen Cortland Sutton lay out for a Teddy Bridgewater pass?
Probably not since the first win streak we had.
Right. I mean,
it's been weeks.
And
Drew Lock, I mean, at the same time, wide receivers has been
Cortland
ineffective.
Sutton did it for Drew Lock.
I mean, I don't know.
You
could argue a couple different things. I mean, his leader, the guy that they all stand behind and go in at week after week, just essentially look like he broke his neck.
The tape lied. Cortland Sutton didn't lay out for that pass and try to catch it.
But where is the momentum coming from? Is it really Drew Lock?
I'm not talking about momentum, Matt.
Where did they?
I'm not talking about momentum.
Their quarterback just went out of the game. Of course, he's fighting. They're rallying. You're an athlete. You know you rally when your star player.
All right, let's
now
move
your star
on.
player goes on. But real quick,
we're running behind.
One quick comment I want to bring up really quick.
We're running behind.
This is the second smartest thing Victor's ever said. And we've said this many times. What I see is 2 quarterbacks that this franchise did not set up for success regardless. That is exactly what happened with Drew Lock. That is exactly what's going on with Teddy Bridgewater. They don't stick. They didn't put him in any position to succeed. Drew Lock, the rest development, the toss to the side, the changing in offensive coordinators. We didn't set him up for success. We didn't teach him to get rid of those tendencies or work on those tendencies 3 years into it now. And now where do we see it?
Okay.
We still see him. So there you go.
All right. So in this bottom
we'll digress.
We digress just a little bit. And I knew this was going to happen, and that's why we need everyone to understand that this needs to be a Bronco. I've never seen a quarterback battle divide a team the way this one has. The fan base, I mean. Have you, Keith?
I can't remember a time like this.
I mean, it's just unreal. I mean, I saw people that were happy that Teddy Bridgewater was hurt. I mean, it's like, are you serious? I mean, people in the stands around me at the game were happy that Teddy Bridgewater was hurt, until they realize the severity of it. And then they are like, oh, I'm going to start chanting Teddy's name.
Oh,
it's like, seriously, 3 minutes ago, you were sitting there cheering because Drew Lock's coming in,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and this is the thing. I mean, and I think we need to try to start to preach this on this show that we're all Bronco fans. We're not Teddy Bridgewater fans. We're not Drew Lock fans,
Mm-hmm.
Whichever one's our quarterback, we're pulling for him, or at least we hope people are pulling for him. But there's people that pull for Drew Bridgewater, Drew Lock to fail. There's people that pull for Teddy to fail, and it's sad to see a fan base that has come to this over a quarterback battle. I've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah, and we like to microscope, to zoom so much in on this Teddy versus Lock thing, and like you said, it's a quarterback battle, and I understand the hunger, the deprivation, the essential starvation for a quarterback because it's been so long, but we often forget that, like you said, at the end of the day, we're Bronco fans. We really should be rooting for whoever's out there. We shouldn't be wishing for those injuries. As much as I'm deemed the Lock flogger, I'm going to go out there this Sunday and I point out every single thing wrong that I think he's doing. But at the end of the day, I'm rooting for him to come home and bring a victory. That's what I want to see. It's my job to be hyper analytic and try to find these things. But at the end of the day, I want the kid to do good because I want the Broncos to do good. And that's where we've diverted as fans. It's just trying to make this so much bigger than what it is, and at the end of the day, it's just it's a Broncos victory that we all need to care about, not who's doing it and who could be doing it better. And I guess that's kind of where it went astray with this. This wasn't the right time for a quarterback competition 5 years into it. So
right,
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to get into. It's been so long. You know what I mean? We had let's face it, we had some of the best quarterbacks to ever grace the NFL with John Elway and then Peyton Manning. To go into a drought like we did, to fall off a cliff like we did, not make the playoffs since the Super Bowl for all this time, to be struggling with quarterbacks and constantly see graphics about how we have the quarterback carousel here in Denver and we'll never, when's the carousel going to stop, and we'll have that quarterback. It brings up a lot of anxiety in every single fan. It's been building for years and years. And to come out with two quarterbacks that are comparable as far as their skill level sets are at least currently, it has divided us way too much. And, we just need to go out there and, again, celebrate the successes and certainly never be rooting against a fellow Bronco player or fan for that matter either.
Right, definitely. So, all right. Yeah. Hey, everybody, just remember, 1, it's a game, and 2, we're Bronco fans. So let's go out there. Let's all pull for the Broncos, no matter who our quarterback is, no matter who's lining up at center or who's playing safety. It doesn't matter. We're Bronco fans. So, all right, really quick, we want to take this opportunity to thank tonight's sponsor, Willis Seasoning on Blends. They're a big supporter of ours, so please check out their amazing blends they offer at WillisSeasonings.com. And remember, year-end clearance sale, 40% off. So $6.57 a bottle plus shipping. So
there you go.
Say that again?
$6.57 a bottle.
Okay.
So
everyone should go get that.
Yeah. Go get it, guys. Help me sell this stuff. Get it out of my inventory before the end of the year. So
there you go.
All right, let's move on to our offensive woes on this team. It's bad. I mean, so who's to blame, Keith? Is it Shermer?
100%. That's where I'm going. I mean, let's face it. This offense has not developed the quarterbacks. They haven't played to their strengths when they're on the field. They haven't called a great scheme for at least 75% of the games. You have to hang this on Pat Shurmur. It's something that we've seen since he came from New York. I mean, we didn't see anything of substance in New York either. I always used to think that we needed to get away from the Kubiak. The Shanahan offense and the Kubiak-minded offense because of just how repetitive it was, at least here in Denver. But my goodness, Pat Shurmur offense has got to be one of the most stale offenses I've seen. When Matt's bringing up the point that when was the last time you saw an RPO from Pat Shurmur? Well, that about tells you it right there. I hang this 100% on Pat Shurmur.
Right. Yeah. Not setting your players up, not playing to their strengths, And like I said, and Matt said, yeah, the RPO is not a regular part of their playbook. So why are you going to call that when you're in a goal line situation? Just give the ball to Gordon or Javonte Williams and let him plow through there. Yes, I know Locke had the opportunity. He made a bad choice, but I agree with you 100%, Keith. You should not be putting your players in those situations. So,
Correct.
Especially a young guy who's trying to go out there and prove himself and saying, I got to make things happen. I have to make things happen. So he's like, this is my opportunity, and he's a young guy. He's a gunslinger. He takes risks,
Mm-hmm.
And you put him in those situations.
Well, and what I don't like about it is an unpracticed situation. If this is your offense, then let it be your offense. If you want to be more dynamic and you want to put RPO into your game plan, then put it into your game plan. I 100% would love to see an RPO. I don't care who the quarterback is.
Right.
Because right now, when we line up and Matt's favorite 3 wide receiver set, do zero motion, and then hand off the ball or throw it, well, every single defense just sits there and queues up on that play after play after play. This Pat Shurmur offense is stale. I never thought I'd see something more stale than what I had seen in the recent past, but my goodness, it's the same thing. So I agree with you in the fact that he shouldn't be doing an RPO in that exact situation because it's completely unpracticed. It's not even probably in the playbook. You know what I mean?
And especially for your backup guy.
And for your backup.
Even if he did practice, how many reps did he get?
Yeah, exactly. He got some preseason reps. Don't worry about it.
So, Matt, is it Shurmur? Is it lack of execution? Is it a combination? Where are you putting the blunt of the blame on our offensive woes?
It's kind of a three-headed monster here because, not to dive too much into what Keith was saying, the offense is kind of a predictable and stale. I'll also take it to the inability to adapt and change your players. That also falls on this coaching staff. But, I also want to look kind of at the management side of this thing. You know who Pat Shurmur is. He's part of this coaching staff. He's been in the league forever. He's not willing to change. And you didn't really go out there and find him a quarterback who's going to be able to operate a system. You gave him Teddy Bridgewater, who's kind of anti-Pat Shurmur, who doesn't spread the field. He likes to check down. How many times did we see a Noah Fan get hit in the flat? Like 1,000 times already? Then it falls down onto some of those players as well. Like, Teddy, you're trying to make a name for yourself in this league. We've seen what you did in New Orleans. We've seen what you did in Minnesota. We've seen what you did in all these other places. And sometimes you've got to break out of that comfort zone and stretch the field. And unfortunately, he just was not able to do that. Pat Shurmur's offense provides you the opportunity to stretch the field. And, you go to looking at the Drew Lock side, it would fit Drew Lock great, but at the same time, you didn't work with him to kind of control those urges. It's wanting to push the field and make those big splash plays. So it's just kind of a hodgepodge of disaster. And that's why it's time to just kind of scrape the board clean with this offense. We're talking possibly new offensive coordinator, new quarterback all next season again.
Yeah, and I can see that definitely. Even if Vic stays, I think you see a new offensive coordinator. I don't think either of these quarterbacks have a position here in Denver. I just don't see it. So we'll see how things progress.
I think that's kind of. Can I just say that you're really quick? I think that's kind of funny. Just a few weeks ago, I think we were all kind of talking, hey, maybe Teddy signs, maybe Teddy's back here for 2 or 3 more years. But the funny thing is, I think this injury also plays a little bit into it too. How many times is he going to get nicked up, dinged up, play injured?
Concussion of the year.
Yeah, and his tibia and his ankle, and it's just been like all season long. This guy hasn't been healthy, and
I didn't really want to point this out, but I mean, we talk about execution and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We find ourselves in a lot of 3rd and long situations.
3rd and over 5.
Third and more than 5, because of poor play design by the team, poor execution on 1st and 2nd down. And what do we see? 75% of the time, Teddy's throwing the ball short of the line of the game, and our players just are not making the plays to break loose, But then Locke comes in, and we had some 3rd and longs in several situations, and every time he went past the yard marker, trying to get it. So that just tells you that maybe it's not Pat Shurmur, holding Teddy back. Maybe it's Teddy and his lack of confidence to throw that ball down the field,
Yeah.
So.
And we kind of talked about this last week, Keith and I did. It's not the fact that he's not afraid to throw it far on a seam route. It's the fact that he just doesn't have the confidence to throw it in those tight windows.
Well, he doesn't have the velocity to do it.
He lacks. That's where his arm strength is a major concern.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's a big difference between throwing the ball deep and putting velocity on it, because you saw a lot of those Drew Lock passes that they just came out with so much more velocity than what Teddy Bridgewater put on them.
Different trajectory altogether, right?
Right, and I think they sometimes, like that one pass to Cortland Sutton, I know is a little bit behind it, but Cortland still had his hands on it, but maybe it was sort of shocked at how fast it got there too. So, so, I mean, a big change, to the player. So, and
I just want to recycle just really quick to what Matt said, though. I think he hit the nail on the head, and it speaks to what you were saying, though, too. Teddy didn't ever push it down the field. That's on the coaches for not going back to him and saying, you have to push it down the field. You have to give this guy a chance. Look at him. You can see it. It's right on the tablet right here. No different with Drew Lock and his development. It's like, hey, you've got to be able to step up into this pass. You can't peel back out and try to get out of the sack and take a larger sack. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. You got to push yourself up the field, plant your feet, throw the pass. It's okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just don't see that coaching that
and
has developed either one of these players.
Right. How many times on the sidelines do you see a coach walk up to the quarterback and they sit down and they're looking at the iPad or whatever? You don't see – you hardly ever even see the quarterback over there. You know what I've noticed every game Tom Brady plays, when he goes off the field on an offensive series, the first thing he does is he grabs that tablet and he's reviewing what he just did.
Yep.
And our quarterbacks do not do that. And I blame a lot of that on coaching, because they haven't been taught these things, and you don't have coaches coming over working with them. They just go sit in the corner and say,
yep.
I have a question.
It's a messy situation.
I have a question, because this kind of falls into the question of do coordinators really belong in the box? Because Pat Shurmur's not at Phil level. He's not there to work with his quarterbacks. He's not there to work with anybody. He's up in the box.
You have a quarterback coach.
The
quarterback coach and the OC can talk to each other, and you know what? The OC can say, "Hey, go over there," and the quarterback coach should understand the offense well enough where he can go over it. And if he doesn't, then that's a problem too.
I don't know. That offense Mike Shula dialed up was pretty horrendous.
Well, right. And what I'm saying is, do we have a bad quarterback coach as well? It's just a messy situation. I don't think the coordinator has to be on the sideline. I think they get some advantages being in, but somebody on that sideline has to be able. We don't have a tablet.
Victor chiming in saying, we don't have a tablet. We get the one Brady breaks on a discount. Laugh out loud.
Oh my!
It feels like it sometimes. Like you said,
money's tight. Money's tight.
It's just a different culture. It's a different mindset, and it's perpetuated. You'd hope it'd be perpetuated within that offensive room somehow. You know what I mean? I agree with. Hey, I wish I wish more offensive coordinators were still down on the field, to be honest. I don't think it should have to go from an offensive coordinator to a quarterback coach to the quarterback. There's some guys that can play up from the booth, and to be honest, I think that's really dependent upon the situation of the franchise or the team itself. And I don't think our team is in a place, especially if you're going to have Drew Lock in there. You'd like to see the guy have a little bit of conversation if he's fairly new into the league. You don't need some guy up in the booth talking to you.
Right. And they just sort of pushed him to the corner starting last year, Just get away from me. It's like the annoying little kid, Just get away from me, let me do my job. So, all right. Hey, what has happened to our wide receivers, Matt? I mean, and we're going to touch on one in particular here in a minute, but we just signed Sutton and Patrick, pretty decent contracts.
Yeah.
And Sutton's gone MIA since then.
Yeah, I mean,
did he get paid and that's it?
No, I mean, it's kind of even been before that. I mean, it's been several weeks without a wide receiver touchdown until, this week. It's just been a very lackluster group. The wide receivers and tight ends have just kind of failed to perform. I mean, how much is it frustration with the offense? How much is it frustration with the quarterback? How many is it just wide receivers are divas. Let's be real. They want production. They want big numbers. They want touchdowns. They want the glitz, the glam, the fame, and all of that. And they're not getting that right now. So how many times have we Sutton stop on a route where he just starts jogging and Teddy Bridgewater decides to huck it over to him and he's 10 yards behind because he started to pull up mid-route? I mean, there's obviously a disconnect. There's something going on with that wide receiver room, the tight end room. It's just not on the same page as the rest of the offense. And I wish we knew why.
Keith?
Honestly, I think it's and not to put it on again, it's a Pat Shurmur offense, but Teddy Bridgewater's the one that's running it, and like we just said, here's a guy that doesn't like to throw very far down the field, tends to hold on to the ball pretty long. I think it's really a development of just the way that Teddy Bridgewater has ran this offense, and then on top of it, we finally got a running game going. So now we've taken the ball out of the hands of the wide receivers even more. As we've seen Javonte Williams and Gordon go off for more and more yards. Yeah. But the drought is prolific. And again, I put this again, not playing to the strengths of your quarterback and not coaching them. But Teddy Bridgewater has not helped the situation out whatsoever. You saw that, and I'll agree with you, Dave, when you saw Drew Lock come in and automatically he started pushing it, being able to push it down the field. At least gave them opportunity. He gives them excitement. No wide receiver likes to always catch all their passes within 10 yards.
Right. So, and here, Jerry Jeudy, I mean, James Merritt of 104.3 brought this up. We sort of talked about it when he was on the show with us probably 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is Jerry Jeudy a bust? Or is he heading that way? And I'm going to tell you guys something. I was in the stadium, and I know that they probably don't show a lot of this on TV, but I watched Jerry Jeudy for about a quarter.
Okay.
And he has no life in him. I mean, he's half-ass running his routes, and you see him. I was always taught when I played football, when you're going off the field, you hustle. You get off the field, I mean, you run off the field, you run on the field. And Jerry Jeudy is just slowly walking, and it's just like he's not enjoying himself out there and he's not having fun. I mean, Keith, do you think he's heading down the road of becoming a bust?
No, I think he still has opportunity, but that's a really disappointing thing to hear. You think about where this kid came from, though, the college he was at, the success he's had, coming in here, and this is what he's had to deal with since he's came in is, and what we got, a high of 77 yards this year. He's been injured. He's had a kind of a lackluster first season as well. It's I hate that he's in this situation, but gosh, he's just such an electric guy. Let's put it this way. Would you trade Jerry Jeudy?
Would I?
Yes.
I would.
You'd trade him right now?
Yeah.
What would you want for him?
I would make him part of a bigger package.
No, I just want Jerry Jeudy. How much do you want for him?
Oh, second rounder.
I'll give you a third.
If you give me a third this year and a third or fourth next year, I'll do it.
Jeez,
that's
okay.
craziness. That is asinine. I'm sitting here trying not to blow my top. Is Jerry
All right,
Jeudy
Matt,
bust?
it's your turn.
Absolutely freaking not.
Okay.
Let's look. Like Keith hit a good point. Look where he's coming from. He's coming from Alabama. He's coming from a dominant program where he's put out to be the star. I mean, like Alabama wide receivers kill it, even though they run the ball 1,000 times a game. The dude still gets crazy production. He gets hurt. He essentially just kind of gets written out of the offense. The middle of the field has completely been absent. It's not the fact that receivers aren't getting open, but what does the middle of the field happen to be? All of a sudden, Teddy Bridgewater is no longer trusting his arm to utilize the middle of the field like he once did. Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant thrive in the middle of the field. The only time Noah Fant gets the ball is when it's in the flats. The only time Jerry Jeudy gets the ball is when it's on a little out, a little hook route or a 5 and out, or it's nothing. It's his livelihood is in the middle. So what my fear is this going to lead him to having a bigger bust potential? Absolutely. His confidence is getting lower and lower each week. You just said it. His energy's at an all-time low. If we go out and we get a quarterback, it might spark up the intrigue, the interest, and we might see those routes coming back. Phil comes back. But last season, he did have the dropsies. This is where how much of it is it going to take for him to get reacclimated since he's not getting reacclimated right now? Essentially, we talk about the poor development of a quarterback. We're essentially seeing the same thing happen with the number one pick in Jerry Jeudy.
I will be interested to see how him and Locke work together because they worked together fairly well last year. I mean, Jeudy had a good season despite all of the drops last year.
Yeah.
I mean, if he didn't have all the drops, the guy he would have been off the charts up there with, Justin Jefferson, and I wouldn't be asking these questions. Did we, draft the wrong JJ, But, I mean, I want to see how him and Locke play together this weekend. Can they get that chemistry back? Can it spark Jerry Jeudy? Can it spark these other receivers? Because I've seen these receivers sort of shut down a little bit with Teddy because Matt and Keith, you both hit it on the head. Teddy does not like to push the ball down the field, and wide receivers like to catch the ball down the field, or they like to catch it with space. And that way they can run after the catch. And that's one thing I noticed is they don't have that spacing. The throws aren't coming in as quickly. They don't have that velocity. And so as soon as the ball's there, a defender's on them already,
Yeah.
So
that's what happens when you run the ball almost 40 times a game and they know that's your biggest weapon right now.
Well, and I think it also happens when you have a quarterback who has no arm velocity either.
No, yeah, it's become one-dimensional. They know the strength is the run game. They know that he's not going to push it, and that's where the big issues come.
Right.
Jerry Jeudy's not a big receiver. I mean, yeah, he's a little over 6 foot, but I mean, the dude's essentially a twig. He relies on his quickness and things. But if he's getting jammed and knocked right off his at the start, not happening.
I think that's another issue with him. You play at Alabama, you're playing with the best of the best,
Mm-hmm.
And you play against, inferior opponents, and you can beat these guys. But you get into the NFL, everybody's big, everybody's strong, everybody's fast, It's harder for Jeudy to get that separation.
We've seen it, though. We've seen it last year. It's just –
right. I think
it's there. It's there.
Quarterback play. So
I think it's a combination of offensive coordinator and quarterback play.
Yeah, I think this is one place you guys can agree. I think Jerry Jeudy can go off with Drew Lock in there. Especially, I hate to say it, but this is where I'll put a little criticism on Drew Lock. If you're the number 1 or the number 2 read in a passing play, those guys are going to be running their routes, and they're going to be running their routes to perfection with Drew Lock because the guy he's not going to get to you if he's if you're the third or the fourth, maybe.
Right, he's going to bail before that.
He's going to bail before that, but at first and the second, he can let it rip, and those guys are going to be on task. Yeah. The thing is, like you said, whether it be Teddy Bridgewater hanging back there, waiting for things to develop, not trusting his arm, and then eventually getting it out to something underneath that's short of the sticks and hoping you can break it. No, it's demoralizing to receivers.
And I'm going to ask you both a question because one thing that is missing on here is touchdowns. That's because he doesn't have any this year.
Right. 0 touchdowns.
Keith, Does Jerry Jeudy get his first touchdown this weekend against the Raiders with Drew Lock as the quarterback?
No.
Matt?
No.
No? Okay, I'm going to go yes. So I think Drew will hit him on a crossing route, and Jeudy will use his speed, and break away. Just sort of like, who was it? Was it against the Raiders at 90-some yarder last year?
Mm-hmm.
So I could see a play like that happening, So
it'll be
nice.
So.
It'll be nice to get him into the game. I think Drew can get the other receivers into the game as well. And that's where I think Drew has a little more upside, is he can push the ball down the field and make defenses think a little bit more, than, Teddy's just going to throw 5 yards. So,
Agreed.
And maybe it'll loosen up our running game a little bit too. All right, we've gone a little bit far, so let's touch on another one really quick. We ran a poll on Rocky Mountain Sports Network. It's called Crowd Noise. We do this every week now. This is the illustrious Keith came up with this question. So, how far would the Broncos need to get into the playoffs for you to want Fangio back as head coach? Majority of the people said they don't want him back, period. 20 of them. I think this was about 17 where they said if he made it to the first round, I would take him back. 7 said second round. I think this was 5 people said if we went the AFC Championship or beyond. And then 2 people said Denver's not even going to make the playoffs anyway. So I'm saying they probably don't want him back.
Yeah.
So I'll give my spiel real quick on this. I put him in the first round playoffs. And,
I did too, and I changed it after last week.
The more I think about this, I'm fine if he doesn't make the playoffs and comes back. As long as you go get a Joe Brady, you go get a Mike Kafka, you go get one of these offensive minds who's going to choose to play to those strengths. I'm okay with Vic coming back. Keith hit it on the nail. Yes, I get it. He's a head coach, but this defense plays for it. His defense loves him. His defense wants to play for him. He's making 8-string linebackers look like there would be starters in other teams. The dude knows what he's doing on defense. Could he get better on time management? Yes. But that's why you get the analytics guy, and they're a qualified analytics guy. If that's his struggles, that can get better. You go get him and Aaron Rodgers, and you keep that defense alive. With the Joe Brady, you go get a Kirk Cousins and pair him with the Joe Brady. This is a different team. This is a playoff contender right away. And you lose Vic, you possibly lose that defense. You may lose the defense. And
Keith, where did you vote on this one by chance?
And the funny thing is, we like sweeps around here, man, because I was also a first round. For me to want him back, truly want him back, make it to the first round of the playoffs. I'll definitely want you back. You know what I mean? It's right. What I've wanted to see for 3 years. It's what I wanted to see in your 3-year development as a coach. You know what I mean? Is to get to the playoffs. It's what we need to see. It's what we want to see. So that's where I put it.
And that's where I put it at first too.
And then you went where?
And then I do not want him back. And I'm going to tell you why really quick.
Okay.
Let me explain myself, because it's been said about a certain player that he is not showing growth. He's not improving. Neither is Fangio. Fangio can't manage the clock. Fangio can't manage a game. I don't care if you have an analytics guy or not. The guy's too stubborn. He's not going to listen to the guy. Perfect scenario, end of the half. There's 9 seconds left. Let's try a super long field goal. Okay. Yeah, Brandon McMahon. The guy half the time won't let Brandon McManus kick anything, And then he said, well, let's run him out there. So then what's he do? He leaves time on the clock. And Cincinnati gets it back, gets in the field goal range, and kicks field goal at the end of the half. Instead of saying, you know what? Let's just go in. It's been an ugly first half. Let's just go in. Let's punt the ball back, pin him back there. Let's go in 3-3 and regroup. This guy's 1-22 when trailing at the half.
But how much is that not having competent quarterbacks and coordinator, though?
You know what, Matt? Yeah, sometime you got to draw the line with the head coach. He doesn't make the adjustments. You can't blame everything on Shermer. You can't blame everything on the quarterbacks. This guy is the head cheese. The buck stops with him. He can't manage a football game half the time. He misuses timeouts. He throws horrible challenges. I don't want him here anymore. Bring me in a coach Bring me in a Dan Quinn. Let Dan Quinn have this defense.
But I mean, Dan Quinn had questionable calls in Atlanta. That's why he wasn't there, and he couldn't get an offense going, and he didn't want to change. He was very stuck in his ways and what type of coordinator he wanted. You come in and you tell your new head coach who the coordinators be, you're gonna have issues. I want to bring back real quick something. Let's look back when Vic Fangio was getting hired. What was the initial plan? It was supposed to have the first ever co-head coaches because they knew there was apparent weaknesses with Vic Fangio. But Elway said you couldn't bring Joel Kubiak, you couldn't bring this, you couldn't bring that. They knew where his weaknesses is. Yes, has he not grown? But at the same time, what supports have been put in there? What I want to see is Vic Fangio continue with his defense, allow an analytics guy to get in there, or go that route. He's got a solid defense. Why blow up what's working if that's working at this point? Then just to start all over, let's say we start all over. You go get Dan Quinn, you go get whomever. Because I doubt you're going to get Joe Brady. Let's just say you're run-of-the-mill offensive coordinator because he likes that older style. You go and you get, let's say, Carson Strong. You're essentially starting all over again. You have something here that's shown a little bit of growth each year. If the offense is the stagnant part, go get yourself a quarterback, go get yourself a competent OC, and see what it's going to happen. You could sign an OC to a one-year deal. You could sign. You don't have to. It could be a one-year deal.
He's going to want to take a one-year deal.
I believe. I mean, that's the hard
who in their
part.
right mind who's going to be a good offensive coordinator and say, "Yeah, I'll take a one-year deal." No,
it could be a contingency plan,
multi-year deal.
Or you could,
if you want an experiment offensive coordinator, yeah, go ahead and get one, Matt.
Why not? If you're Mike Kafka, Why not make the jump?
Gee whiz! All right, let's move on, guys.
Or I mean, because like we said, at the same time,
we got to talk about pick'ems.
Real quick, last thing I'll say about this.
We got to talk about pick'ems.
Real quick, I'm going to say it anyways. The last thing I'll say is if you go out and you fire Vic, you fire this staff, you're tight for money, you don't even know who the head coach is.
Matt.
How are you going to play three different staffs?
How do you know how tight they are for money? You have no idea what
that is exactly the reason why they didn't. That is exactly the reason they said that part of the reason Vic Fangio was still here.
Who said that?
Every single analyst out there knows they don't want to have two previous head coaches on the books.
That doesn't say they're tight for money.
I'm not saying tight for money, but it looks bad. Okay, fine. It looks bad. It looks bad.
All right.
And we already are looking terrible.
Yeah, we are. You and I both are. All right. Pick'ems.
You guys. I love that Broncos country love. Remember that Broncos country love? It's about mid-segment. We're all Broncos fans, regardless.
Broncos fans,
just want to remind everybody after that.
Oh yeah, no, it's all love here.
Me and Matt have a love-hate relationship.
It's just the constant cycle that gets me concerned. I mean, we did it with quarterbacks. We're gonna do it with head coaches next.
All right.
Okay, so you'll just keep an incompetent coach then, right? Okay, go ahead, Matt.
Give him the supports he needs, and maybe we'll see.
All right, give Drew Lock the support he needs and keep him around.
It's a little late for that.
Well, it's a little late for Vic, too.
I mean, 3 seasons.
Honestly, I'll please you both. I say bring them both
How many
back.
seasons? How many seasons you say? 3?
Yeah, for Vic.
Okay, how many's Drew been here? 3?
Okay. Yes, but he's got zero development.
No.
He's got
Don't even try that with me. Don't say it's okay for the coach to waste 3 years, but a quarterback can't.
Who am I going to put more faith in? A coach that's been around for 40 years, or
all right, he's on mute for a while, Keith. Me and you. He's in jail right now.
I could have mute myself.
Oh no!
All right. See, this what brings in the guys. See. They give us 2 minutes each for roughing. All right.
All right. Let's get to the pick'em, Dave. You wanted the pick'em.
Yeah, let's get to the pick'em. Let's get off this coach stuff. 49ers at the Titans. Titans, I don't know. Keith, we'll let you go first. Who do you like in this one?
I keep going against the 49ers, so I'm going to go out with the 49ers on this one, man. I keep getting burned by them. Week after week after week. So 49ers taking home the win.
Matt?
I'm going to go with the Niners as well.
If they're playing in San Francisco, I think I would. I'm going to go with Tennessee. Tennessee has to get this thing. You know, I keep saying this about every team. They got to get the ship going back the right direction. So I'm going to hate myself for this pick because San Francisco, Scott is right. Niners are hot. I mean, and they are hot. I mean, they're playing good football with Jimmy G, who I wouldn't mind seeing here. I'll regret this for picking Tennessee, but I'm going to go Tennessee.
All right, buddy.
All right, we got 2 Saturday games. Well, they're scheduled to be played Saturday. Who knows what's going to happen? One of them is the Browns again. So at the Packers. So Browns are coming off a short week. Browns played Monday, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they got the Saturday game against the Packers. Who you going with, Matt? Browns or Packers?
Packers are probably the hottest team in football, or one of the hottest teams in football right now. I mean, it's going to be a landslide for Green Bay. It's not even going to be close.
Yep. Keith?
Yeah, I think we'll be sweeping here, but I'm going Packers as well, man.
Yeah, we're definitely sweeping. I'm staying away from the Browns. I don't even know who's going to be playing for them.
Who knows?
Nick Mullins may be the quarterback. Nick Mullins may have COVID by then too, and who knows who the quarterback will be. All right, the other one scheduled for Saturday is Colts at the Cardinals. I'll start with this one since you each started with one.
There you go, buddy.
I like what the Colts are doing. I think a couple guys said this a couple weeks ago or last week. So we really like what the Colts are doing, but we wouldn't pick them. This time I'm picking them. The Cardinals, I don't know what's wrong with the Cardinals. I mean, come on. You go into Detroit and get shellacked like that. So I'm gonna take the Colts on the road to beat the Cardinals. Another one I'll probably regret.
I know it is one of those games though, man. You kind of go back and forth on, what happened to the Arizona Cardinals and to have Detroit just beat them down like that. Is there something wrong in Arizona? And then you got the Colts who just seem to be on fire. And my goodness, all of a sudden, forgetting the running back's name, but for the Colts, help me out.
Jonathan Taylor.
Thank you,
MVP.
Jonathan Taylor.
MVP.
Man, he is going off. It's tough.
Cooper Kupp should be MVP.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah,
but I'll be honest, it's tough to get it as a running back anymore. I feel.
And a wide receiver too. I think.
Yeah.
It's a quarterback award anymore.
With all this discussion, I think I'm just gonna have to stick with the Cards though, and hope that they come back around and get the win. I can't go out on the limb with the Colts, so I think it's going to be a great game.
All right, Matt.
I'll keep it.
You don't like the Colts. You don't like Wentz. So
it's not even about that. I mean, the Cardinals had their gimme game. They had where they came in underprepared and took it easy, and it bit them in the behind. Green Bay's in the 1 seed now, and they know that Green Bay's probably going to go in and beat up a COVID-riddled Browns. They can't afford to take another step back. They don't want to. Because I think if the way it's falling is if they continue to do this, they're going to have to play one of their division rivals if they don't clean it up. I think 2 and it would be I think they would have San Francisco right now, if my memory serves me correct. And you don't want to play a division rival first round in the playoffs. It just doesn't look good for them. So I think they got to go out and win this one. And I think they do. I think it'll be somewhat close. I say probably about a touchdown, maybe separation victory for the Cards.
Okay, so I've gone lone wolf on 2 games. I got the Titans and I got the Colts. So
yeah, buddy.
I'm liking those AFC South teams to take care of me. So, all right, guys. Hey, fun show. Even though me and Matt got a little heated there.
Yeah.
We love each other. Come on, me and Matt have been doing this for over a year now. We're like an old married couple anymore.
Almost.
Pretty soon, Keith, you'll be like this with us too.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. It kind of reminds me, it's that time of year, holidays. All the family comes together. You have dreams in your head of how beautiful and glorious it's going to be. And then sometimes you just have like grandkids that melt down and grandpa starts going off,
Right.
And, next thing you know, the crazy Uncle Matt comes in streaking in the door, Who knows?
Yeah, the Christmas tree's on. The Christmas tree tips over. No.
And as a reminder, hey, everybody out there, happy holidays. Everybody be safe. Enjoy some time with your family, have a great time. So we will be back on Sunday. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. For our pregame show. So check us out. Broncos, Drew Lock will be leading the Denver Broncos to a victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. So
Let's hope so.
Merry Lockmas.
Merry Lockmas.
And he's returned. He's back.
He is back. Matt, you better go into hiding if Drew Lock comes out here and just blows up.
I'm hoping he wins.
You might want to block Victor on all social media.
No, I would be. I'll be right there cheering with him. I don't hate the kid, and I wanted to see us win. So
he doesn't
go ahead
hate
and
him,
win.
but he doesn't hate him. But he threw his jersey in the dryer and kept hitting dry cycle until the thing melted.
Hey, we have moments. Hey, we have moments of desperation. All right.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So. All right, guys. Hey, great show with you guys. You guys have a great Christmas on Saturday. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Really quick, just want to give the gee whiz. What am I doing here, guys?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, there we go. All right, that wraps up the show. We'll be back on Sunday at 9. Till then, please follow, like, and subscribe. We're all on all the social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Hit us up on all those. Follow, like, and subscribe. You can chat with Keith, Matt, or myself through our Twitter accounts, or you can join us at the Rocky Mountain Sports Network Facebook group, where we talk about more than just NFL on there. We got hockey, we got basketball, baseball, everything else. You can also listen to podcasts on Anchor and many other podcast platforms. And once again, we want to thank Willow Seasonings and Blends for sponsoring tonight's show. From all of us here on 4th and 99, thanks for joining us, and you have a great evening.